Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. The Colts fall to 3-1 against the LA Rams, 27-20. Now, this game can be regarded as the great A.D. Mitchell game, the infamous A.D. Mitchell game. Let's go ahead and talk about the biggest thing that everyone's going to see online. Colts fans are going to want off with his head, and that's going to be A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell's fumble into the end zone, resulting as a touchback. A play that is very reminiscent of last year's Jonathan Taylor fumble into the end zone for a touchback against the Broncos in a essentially playoff game that switched the momentum of the game. And now we have another one that is seemingly the same thing, and it was with a player that hasn't really proven anything until now. So I want to say, is this really objectively worse than what Jonathan Taylor did? I don't think this was worse. I know it was the same thing, but you can argue that A.D. Mitchell was trying to get the ball across the end zone in a, I guess, celebratory way, versus Jonathan Taylor just casually just dropping the ball before, walking across the end zone. So objectively, you can say at least A.D. Mitchell was deliberately trying to get the ball past the end zone, across the end zone, whereas Jonathan Taylor just disregarded the ball before even walking into the end zone. And sort of outside of this objective act of treason against the Indianapolis Colts team and fan base, this is a player who hasn't proven much, and this was the game that we needed him to step up the most, because Alec Pierce has proven himself to be a staple of this Colts offensive pass catcher lineup. He's deadly. Alec Pierce is one of my favorite wideouts for the team. He's deadly for the deep ball, and he's really deadly in clutch time. So A.D. Mitchell comes in here with all the tools on paper to objectively say that he's one of our best receivers on the team. And this game sort of proves why he isn't that. Because things like dropping the ball before the end zone is just something that's fundamentally it's not good. And for this to happen twice over the span of 2 seasons, not even a year separating their time at this point, or has it even been that? I think it has been a little over than that, but it's kind of crazy. It has to be a coaching thing at this point for this team to commit such atrocities back-to-back seasons on something that is such a fundamental part of the game. We all know that when you watch football, or even casual fans who don't even watch a game each week, or maybe just watch the Super Bowl, know that a player must hold the football in order to score when they enter the end zone. And if you're a ball carrier running into the end zone and you do not have possession, and you lose possession of the ball before walking into the end zone, that's something that trickles down to pee-wee football, flag football. I could go make a baby right now and have my 5-year-old hold the ball before running into the end zone if they're in a sort of recreational scrimmage against little youngings. So this mistake is just, it's simply heartbreaking because it's an easy mistake to not make, but it's a mistake made in such a way that is just, it just feels disgraceful to see when your team does this. And that's really as much as I can really say about that. Directly after this game, I was calling for him to get sent, but maybe some other players besides him should get sent on the other side of the ball. But AD Mitchell also later in the game, he commits a holding penalty on what would have been a Jonathan Taylor touchdown, and this was a little bit more excusable, sort of, but it's still a mistake that shouldn't have been made. Who knows that if he commits this holding penalty, JT would have done the same. I don't think it would have been hard if he just let him go if he didn't have the right leverage, but that was sort of the icing on the cake of his AD Mitchell game. Yeah, he dropped the ball in the end zone, resulting on a turnover, but then he commits this, which, it sucks when it's a touchdown that's getting called back, but it sucks that it's another touchdown called back against a player that had a touchdown himself called back because he dropped the ball in the end zone, returning in a touchback. So you don't want to blame everything on one player in a football game because there's 11 people on each side of the field that contributes to whether a team wins or loses, and it's a culmination of every individual effort. But I think it's almost fair to say that this player, AD Mitchell, has single-handedly lost us this game against the Rams. Now, who's to say that the 14 points that we did make would have made a difference in the final outcome of this game? But I think we can comfortably say that the momentum of this game would have been greatly shifted in our favor if a big play like that turned out to be a touchdown. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to see. You see that Alec Pierce was greatly missed in this game, and the Colts' philosophy didn't work all year. This game was sort of a foil on week one against the Dolphins. Everything week one and basically up to this point seemingly went in our favor on offense and mostly on defense. Our defense really stepped up today. That was the thing, and we wasn't able to do what we need to do on offense to really help out our defense in a significant way. I mean, we put up 20 points. 20 points is sort of not what you really want to. You at least want 21, but we often sort of hung in there in a game that we all knew that I even predicted that if we lose a game out of these next couple of games, this would be the game to lose. And we did lose it, but we sort of was fighting against ourselves throughout that whole game. Offensively, AD Mitchell, that's just unacceptable from that player. But another big thing is on the offense side. I guess I can stay on the offense side. Our philosophy didn't go as planned. We know that Shane Steichen's offensive philosophy this year has been we want to pass to score and run to win. And this means that in order to win the game, you must have points. So that insinuates that the Colts are going to come out and try to get a lead early so that they can have the other team playing very pass heavy, and we can sort of run the clock by running the ball with JT, sort of putting the icing on the cake of the game, and putting the slamming the door shut with JT. We want to slam the door shut with JT. We don't want to lean in JT early in the game for us to score all the points. And we saw that backfire today in a way that, just looking at this philosophy-wise, I've sort of felt this, like, why aren't we running JT more? I would like JT more involved in some of these early down plays. But, Daniel Jones, he sort of had to make do what he could. I think that the Rams coming into this knows that Daniel Jones will give the defense some chances to really make a play on the ball, and that's sort of been in our favor these past 3 weeks. And we saw the defense really taking advantage of that, underthrown deep balls that could have been adjusted to a bit more by AD and Mitchell maybe. But other than that, Daniel Jones has been really efficient, other than these 2 turnovers that were sort of in the start of the game and the end of the game. So there was a point at the end of the game where Daniel Jones could have marched us down the field to really give us a chance at least tying the game up and taking it to overtime. And we saw that he sort of threw that into the defensive hands. And he wasn't the reason. I don't think Daniel Jones was the reason we lost. I think we all know sort of what was the reason that we lost. Tyler Warren today was great. Michael Pittman Jr. was good. Josh Downs, I just like how he's just that. We know what down in situation we want Josh Downs to be, and he's efficient at being that sort of on the sticks possession catcher where he's going to get some great separation on a player. And our O-line sort of held up, we had a lot of penalties that really set us. We were behind the sticks a lot in this game in comparison to these other weeks. So we were behind the sticks a lot. We were really stressing our offense in a lot of situations where we're not normally stressed out in, and putting Danny Jones and Indiana Jones in a position where we're behind the sticks, we're behind in the game, and we don't have much momentum isn't a philosophy that I think Daniel Jones would like to be in. It's something that I feel way more comfortable. I felt way more comfortable going into the end of that game, sort of wanting to come back with someone like Anthony Richardson with his playmaking ability and that 2-minute offense. I don't really feel that confident with Daniel Jones in that crunch time 2-minute offense situations, but throughout the game, he's going to give you efficient play. That's what I said before the season, and that's what I'm going to continue to say. He's been great so far because we haven't really been stressing him. We have weapons, and we have weapons on offense all around, and we saw that our depth chart really disappointed us on offense and on defense. So on defense, we have Xavier Howard. Now, I wasn't able to watch the complete game. I'm going to go back and watch a bit more of it. Maybe I can bash Xavier Howard a bit more on this. But I can tell you that last week, seeing him play in the red zone, getting those calls, I was like, man, you need to get him out the game. And in this week, we saw that he got his name called a lot, and he didn't really have much to show for it, too. He just, everything was like a open book. He was a 7-Eleven. He was a Wawa. He was open 24/7 on Xavier Howard. And all I really have to say about this is that if this is the best we have, if Xavier Howard is on the top of our depth chart, then that's a real problem. I would like to see some other people step in and do something, because I think anything other than him right now shouldn't be much farther from what we get from Xavier Howard. Now, our D-line really got after it. Our defense was good this game until things just sort of got out of our hands with these, crucial mistakes. And all in all, this game was just disappointing because it was a game that we could have easily won objectively, but yeah, I don't know what much else I want to say about this game other than that we gave the Rams a run of their money. We let Puka Nacua really run across the field free, butt booty naked, open, and just Matthew Stafford and Nacua just had a great connection. They had that Ethernet cord on our defense. They had that direct connection throughout the whole day. We even give them McDonald's Wi-Fi, Walmart Wi-Fi at all. We didn't disrupt the connection at all. We were just Puka Nacua really he was the whole offense. And there was a couple of critical mistakes when the Rams had to get down and get a touchdown to put them ahead of us. We had 10 men on the field, and then one man slipped, having essentially 9 men on the field for a touchdown that should be open every time if we set ourselves up in that position to get exploited. So all in all, this game, outside of the fact that we easily could have won this game and we could have been talking about the Colts are 4-0, beating 2 really teams that show you that we're a real deal. We are the real deal. And on the other hand, we end up losing a game where we still put up numbers against the Colts. If this is the worst the Colts is going to give you, then I feel really good about the rest of the season. But I think this may not be the worst the Colts can give you, because we saw how we had 2 punts in this game, and we saw how virtually unrealistic our offensive expectations coming into this game was, because we only punted once out of 3 weeks. And we get into this game, we punted more times in this game than we have for the first 3 games, which is sort of a regular thing in the NFL. We're going to be punting it more often than these numbers, want you to believe. So this may not be the worst the Colts will be. And initially thinking maybe this was the worst the Colts could be at this point, but I think it could have been a lot worse with the defense. But what we really have to show is what the Colts have shown throughout these weeks, and this was the worst outing. So I would hope that this will continue to be one of the worst outings the Colts have, but in a game where we only punted twice and we were still in a position to win the game, even though we took 2 touchdowns off of the board, essentially, we still could have came back and beat a Super Bowl contending team. So yeah, that's really it. That's really all I can really say about this loss. It sucks that we lose this. A little disappointing, but 3-1 doesn't nearly sound as good as 4-0. That's really the biggest disappointment I feel coming out of this game. But other than that, we should be all right. Defensive. Xavier Howard is probably going to be the biggest concern for us going forward. I know I talked a lot about A.D. Mitchell, but at least he has shown himself capable of great things on the football field. Xavier Howard hasn't really shown us that. He's just been a net negative, really, for the Colts since the beginning of the season, since things got turbulent. So hopefully we can get that situated out. Do I really see A.D. Mitchell on the chopping block? I really felt like that was possible, but now that I kind of think of it, I don't really think so. Maybe at the end of this year, maybe seeing how things sort of played out, but the Colts are going to be fine after this loss. Until next week.